Hello, my friend. Welcome to your sleep story. My name is Stephen Dalton. I'm an Irish storyteller, and it's my great privilege to be the voice that you listen to as you go to sleep tonight. Tonight's story was written by my niece, Megan Moore. She has written a story of adventure, and a heartwarming tale at that. It is a story that will take you across oceans and back in time. It's a story that I really enjoyed reading for you, and I really hope you like it. One small thing. If you would like to support my work, you can do so on a website called Patreon. The link is below this video. On Patreon, you will get access to my work ad-free, and also you can listen to my work without sound design or music, if that's your preference. Okay, let's do the relaxation session now, which will take a few minutes before tonight's sleep story. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, and as I do, allow yourself to let go more and more. 10. Feel the support of the bed beneath you, or the floor, or whatever you lie upon tonight. Really feel that support. And as you do, allow yourself to let go a little more now. And beneath whatever you lie upon, know that the earth is supporting you. Feel the solidity of it, the constantness of it. It is always there, supporting you. So just let go now. 9. You are safe. Allow my voice to be an anchor of safety for you tonight. Know that I will not take you anywhere that is unsafe. Allow my voice to be a friend, to be a calming guide, and see if this feeling of safety can enable you to let go a little bit more now. 8. Feel into your body. Where are you holding tonight? Maybe it's in your feet. Maybe your lower legs. Maybe your belly. Maybe your chest. Or maybe your face. I know I always hold in my face. See if you can just relax everything now. 7. The day is done. whatever has been, and whatever will be, will be. Whatever thoughts you may still be having tonight, they are not useful now. Don't fight them. See them for what they are. Thoughts. Allow them to arrive. Even welcome them. And then gently watch them depart. Like leaves on a moonlit river, or clouds passing in a moonlit sky. Six, peace lives within you. It is always there, waiting to be found. See if you can find it tonight. See if you can say hello to that peace. For it is your constant friend. And if you do feel it, where do you feel it? Is it in your head? Or is it in your heart? 5. This is your moment. This is your time. You have nowhere to go, nowhere to be. Allow that fact to enable you to let go a little more now, to really be in this moment. For perhaps feel a little gratitude now for the shelter you have tonight, for the simple things like your body and your breath, for the ability to listen to this sleep story tonight. 3. Begin to engage with your imagination now. Begin to transport yourself back in time to a beautiful old port filled with old ships. See if you can hear the sounds and smell the scents of the ocean. 2. Check in with your body one more time now. See where you might still be holding. And if you are holding anywhere, feel the release. 1. Completely letting go now as I tell you tonight's sleep story. The harbor is busy with activity. in the early hours of the morning. The sky has just turned a pale blue from the rising sun, and already merchants and sailors are clamoring about the docks, their ships anchored, and their wares from all over the globe are ready to be unloaded. This is the type of environment that Farran Crowley thrives in. He smiles as he sips his coffee from a tin cup that he purchased from the inn, as he revels in its aroma, allowing it to waft over his senses and fill him with energy for the day. He delights in the melodic clinking of copper coins as they dance between trading hands, promising good fortune and commerce. The animated bartering of nearby merchants surrounds him as they haughtily display their exotic wares and treasures brought overseas from distant lands. Silks of every color shimmer in the morning sun. Enticing spices fill the air with unfamiliar aromas. Each item has a story of its own, and each sailor has an adventure to tell. However, if there is one place he loves more than the harbor, it's being out at sea, on his unwavering vessel, the Silent Dreamer. The salty smell of the ocean and the feel of the wind on his face is what drives Farran to get out of bed in the morning, to live each day as a new adventure, surrounded by his crew and the people he trusts the most. For Farran's crew are like his family. They cherish and respect one another, knowing that they all need one another in life. He couldn't imagine his adventures with anyone else but them. Farran Crowley has made a name for himself after spending decades as captain of his ship. All along the coast, people have heard of his adventures, exploring the seas, and his exciting tales of evading marauding pirates. In fact, what brings Captain Crowley to this particular port is an invitation to meet with the Grand Duke of the region. Evidently, his heroic tales have made their way all the way to the court and has piqued the interest of powerful people. Captain Crowley finishes off his coffee, savoring the warm feeling it leaves in his chest as he stands and leaves the terrace of the inn to stroll through town. He weaves his way through the bustling streets, full of curious customers and eager sellers. He walks down the cobblestone streets, taking in his surroundings as he goes. He observes the wooden houses at the edge of the city, with worn and withering facades. But as Farran progresses closer to the fortress at the center, the atmosphere shifts. The humble dwellings give way to grander homes, their exteriors more polished, with ornate carvings and freshly painted shutters that speak of wealth and status. The once narrow streets, packed with people, grow wider with a smaller crowd. Here, the townsfolk are well groomed and well dressed. Nearby is a ceramic shop where an artist sits outside, decorating an ornate vase. The air is tinged with the distinct aroma of fresh bread and sugary pastries from the market stalls, mingling with the scent of damp earth and salt from the nearby sea. However, the towering silhouette of the fortress looms closer, a stark reminder of the power that resides within its thick, fortified walls. Captain Crowley walks with purpose, his thoughts already deviating to the business that awaits him behind those imposing gates, even as he remains keenly aware of the world unfolding around him. Finally, he stands before the great oak gates of the fortress, flanked by the Duke's guards, who observe him stoically. Farran presents his invitation from court to the guards, and they open the heavy gates for him, revealing a grandiose stone mansion inside. From there, he is escorted into the depths of the fortress, his footsteps echoing off the polished marble floors of the arching corridors. The mansion halls are adorned with extravagant decor and relics from faraway shores. The walls are lined with gilded portraits of stern-faced ancestors, which do not go unnoticed by Farran, their gazes seeming to follow him as he passes by. It seems that every inch of the fortress is dipped in wealth, boasting the Duke's affluence. As Captain Crowley enters the grand meeting room, he spots the Duke seated in a high-back velvet chair. The Duke himself is dressed in fine satins, dyed various shades of indigo. On either side of him are his advisors, also dressed exuberantly in blue and gold. Before the council is an array of perfectly prepared dishes. However, they sit untouched, as if to show that the Duke can have all this food made, even when he is not hungry. After a nudge from the guard to his right, Captain Crowley bows and smiles up at the Duke. "You summoned me, my lord." The Duke peers down at Farran from his chair, not bothering to hide the judgment in his expression. "I have heard tales of your travels, Captain Crowley," the Duke finally says. "If you haven't noticed, I am a collector of sorts," he says, as he gestures widely about the room, which is filled with relics and antiques on display. "You have exquisite taste, my lord," Farran replies dryly. "There is just one piece missing from my collection that I seek. It is a goblet, said to reside in a mysterious tower. Perhaps you have heard the legends of the island in the middle of nowhere?" Captain Crowley confirms his knowledge of the island, which has earned its title from its elusive nature. Many have tried and failed to find the island. Even the most experienced explorers, with fleets of over a dozen ships, have given up the endeavor. Those who have seen the island say that it is surrounded by an endless storm, preventing anyone from getting near it, and even sinking the most formidable vessels. The legend says that at the center of the island is a tower with a goblet that shows the future and its possible outcomes. The Duke continues nonchalantly, as if he has made this offer over a dozen times to countless renowned explorers before him. "Find the island and bring me the goblet. If you succeed, I am prepared to offer you and your crew a copious amount of wealth, and your name will be known as the most famous explorer who ever lived. I am willing to loan you my finest vessel and crew of the most experienced sailors to get the job done." Captain Crowley bows his head. "I must respectfully decline your offer for a ship and crew, my lord. I have my own that I would prefer to travel with." The Duke waves him off with a heavy sigh. "Very well, Captain. Do what you must to get this relic to me." And with that, Farran is escorted from the fortress. He is brimming with excitement over his task, not for the riches that are promised should he succeed, but for the adventure itself. Farran and his crew were never much motivated by money. They always made enough to provide, and then some extra for the occasional celebration, but they didn't mind to live a modest life. Captain Crowley spends the rest of the day with his crew, informing them of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and together they prepare their ship for the journey ahead. After a night of celebrating at the inn, Farran goes to sleep on his ship, preferring the gentle rocking of the waves against the hull over the stillness of his bed at the inn. The next day, Farran awakes with the sun, eager to start the seemingly impossible task. The waters are calm, the sky is clear, and the wind is steady as Farran and his crew undock from the harbor. They unfurl the pale blue sails, allowing the strong breeze to propel the silent dreamer forward. With a compass in hand, Captain Crowley steers the vessel west towards the last known sighting of the island. They sail for days. Farran has watched the sun rise and fall so many times that he has lost count. His crew is growing more and more restless by the day, craving some action and adventure. But so far, they have only been met with calm waters and clear skies. Just when Captain Crowley thinks to change course, he spots something in the distance. It's a small island, so small that he can see everything that's on it from the comfort of the ship. Farran knew that any other sailor would pass by the isle without bothering to explore its handful of palm trees and white, sandy beach. But Farran is overcome with the urge to investigate the island. They lay anchor in the shallow water near the vacant island and Farran releases the dinghy and rows towards the shore with 3 of his crewmates. They allow the waves to pull the small rowboat ashore before they hop out, their leather boots sinking in the fine sand as the water laps at their ankles. Captain Crowley orders the 3 crew members to search the beach while he makes his way to the center of the island. 20 minutes go by, and the crew was able to do a full sweep of the beach, finding nothing but colorful shells and sea glass that have washed up on shore. Farran investigates the small patch of foliage at the center, but he too turns up nothing. Just as he turns to leave, his boot finds purchase on something solid beneath him. With piqued interest, Captain Crowley clears away the brush and sand to reveal a stone plaque. The surface of the stone is smooth and polished, with an engraving written in a neat and precise hand. After closer inspection, the engraving reads, "You seek the island not marked on a map, the isle of time lost and dreams lapsed. It may come to you, beckon you, but it will not let you pass, not unless you utter what comes last. To ascend an endless spire of stone, you must first make yourself known. Sly as a fox and quick as a hare, the island will claim you, should you find nowhere." Captain Crowley thoroughly searches the surrounding area for more clues, but finds nothing. He even attempts to dig up the plaque, but its foundation is deep and solid in the ground. It's as if the island itself was formed around it. Before he returns to his awaiting crew, he commits the riddle to memory. That night, as the sun dips beyond the curved horizon of the ocean, and the moon rises in the east, Farran sits in his quarters, surrounded by the warm glow of candlelight. He pores over his desk, where he has written the riddle down, pondering its meaning. He knows it has something to do with the island in the middle of nowhere, but he can't quite place it. Once the candles on his desk burned down their wicks and are now pools of dried wax, Farran knew it was time to get some rest. He climbs into his simple cot and stares out the window, positioned just by his pillow. He can see the night sky clearly from here in the middle of the ocean. Each twinkling star with its own name and its own story, like small islands in a sea of deep velvet. The ancient wood of the ship groans gently as it rocks softly from the waves. Captain Crowley closes his eyes, thinking of the mysterious islands and epic adventures as the sound of the water lapping against the stern slowly lulls him to sleep. The sunlight is barely peeking through his window before Farran is awoken by a knocking on his door. It's his first mate, informing him that they spotted an island in the distance. Captain Crowley quickly gathers his things and meets the rest of his crew on the deck. There, just off the starboard side, is an island, cloaked in storm clouds. Everywhere else, the sky is clear and blue, but directly over the mystifying island are grey clouds swirling above. As they draw closer, they feel the wind pick up, pulling the silent dreamer towards the storm. Farran begins to bark commands at his crew as the rain starts pouring over them. The waves are big now, and Captain Crowley helps to raise the masts before instructing his crew to secure themselves to the deck using ropes as they give themselves over to the mercy of the storm. But no matter how hard they try, Captain Crowley and the silent dreamer are no closer to the shore than they were an hour ago, and the storm shows no signs of relenting. And just when Farran thinks to turn back, he remembers the riddle. It will not let you pass, not unless you utter what comes last, sly as a fox and quick as a hare, the island will claim you, should you find nowhere. The last word of the riddle, nowhere. Captain Crowley braces himself against the mast as rain downpours over him. He shuts his eyes and yells against the wind, nowhere. With his eyes still tightly shut, Farran can feel the rain recede from a monsoon to a gentle sprinkle. The rocking of the ship calms, and the wind stills. Farran opens his eyes when he feels the warmth of the sun on his face. He watches in amazement as the clouds dissipate, allowing the light of the sun to shine on the island, which they are now close enough to anchor. The white, sandy beach glistens in the rays of the sun. Beyond that is a lush forest full of colorful flowers and exotic shrubs. But at the center is a large stone tower, taller than the surrounding trees. Captain Crowley and his crew take the dinghies to the beach, where they collapse in the soft sands, exhausted from the efforts of the morning. Although curiosity and excitement courses through his veins, Farran lays still in the sand, allowing his body to recover from the turmoil of the storm. They all lay there until their clothes fully dry under the heat of the sun. Then, one by one, members of the crew get up and begin to make camp. They start a fire and begin to cook, chatting idly amongst one another, grateful that they all made it through the storm in one piece. Farran gets up and hikes up the beach towards the forest line. Already he can see that it's brimming with life. Birds soar overhead, while small critters race through the brush. He ventures further into the forest, pushing through the leaves of palms, the island brimming with its own ecosystem. Life exists here in complete harmony, without outside influence. He observes the bees pollinate the orchids, and the hummingbirds shimmer with iridescent feathers. Farran is completely enchanted by the natural beauty of the life on the island. So much so that he is careful with his steps as he walks through the forest, so not to disturb the flora with his outside presence. It doesn't take long before Captain Crowley reaches the grey stone tower. He presses his hand to the surface, noticing that it's cut from the same stone as the plaque he found on the previous island. He wonders who constructed the monument, and if he is the first person to reach the tower since it was built. There is an arched wooden door at the entrance. Like the rest of the tower, it's polished and smooth, as though it has never been opened. He takes a deep breath before turning the handle, and he is not surprised to find it unlocked. He steps inside, but the only thing within the walls of the tower are stairs that lead up in a spiral. Farran begins his ascent up the refined stairs. There are small windows every few steps that illuminate his path. Minutes go by, and he is still climbing the stairs. And after a while, he begins to think that they are not leading anywhere. But oddly enough, he does not feel tired. He picks up his pace, taking 2 steps at a time. But still he feels as though he is nowhere near the top. Glancing out the window, he realizes he has not made any progress. Turning around, Captain Crowley descends the stairs and reaches the bottom in a matter of minutes. Far less time than he spent going up. He thinks for a moment. Clearly, there is some kind of trick to get up the tower. Then he remembers the riddle. To ascend an endless spire of stone, you must first make yourself known. Farran smiles to himself as he figures out the key. He leaves the tower and shuts the door. Then, with a strong and sure hand, He knocks 3 times on the door and introduces himself to the tower. I am Farran Crowley, Captain of the Silent Dreamer, and I ask that you let me pass. He waits a moment, listening for a change or even a response, but he hears nothing. He opens the door again and begins his ascent. This time, he is progressing up the stairs as the trees out the windows grow more distant with each passing step. At the top of the stairs is another door, but it is slightly ajar. Farran approaches it curiously. He knocks softly on it and pushes open to reveal a round stone room with a single pedestal at the center. There, perched upon the pedestal, is a gold goblet. He approaches the goblet, noticing an engraving around the rim of the cup that reads, "Consume my contents to make perceivable future known." Farran looks into the goblet to see a clear liquid inside. He picks up the cup, its weight heavy in his hand. There is no smell from the drink, as if it's only water inside. Before he allows himself to drink it through thoroughly, Captain Crowley drinks the clear liquid. It tastes like nothing, but he is overwhelmed with a cool, refreshing sensation, as if the drink sated a thirst that he never knew he had. A vision comes to him in his mind. He sees himself presenting the goblet to the Duke, and in return, the Duke rewards him with gold riches, a gilded ship, and a large mansion. However, in this vision, he sees the island decimated, as the outside world is able to reach it without restriction. The plants and flowers lose their color, and one by one, the wildlife disappears. The stone tower crumbles until it eventually falls. Farran opens his eyes as he processes what he just witnessed. If he delivers the cup to the Duke, then he would be rich. But the Duke and his men would exploit the natural beauty of the island, draining it of life and leading to its downfall. Farran realizes that he doesn't care how rich he would be. He doesn't wish to lead to the extinction of the island. He feels as though he saw true nature on the island, something he wouldn't trade for the world. Resolute in his decision, Captain Crowley places the cup back on the pedestal and bows his head in respect. He isn't sure, but it feels like another presence is in the room with him. I promise to never share the secrets of this place. Nature will remain untouched and protected for the rest of time, he says, to no one in particular. And he swears he sees the gold goblet glint in response. Farran turns and closes the door before descending the steps. Outside, he takes one last appreciative look at the tower before he closes the door and returns to his crewmates on the beach. The crew look at him, eagerly awaiting his story of what he found. Captain Crowley tells them the truth. He recounts the beauty of the forest and the exotic plants and animals. He tells them that once he got to the top of the tower, he drank from the goblet, which revealed to him the destruction of this place. His trustworthy crew are in accordance with his decision. They, too, recognize the harmony of the island is worth more than any money that the Duke could offer. They don't want a fancy ship or expensive wines. They have everything they need right now. Together, Captain Crowley and his crew make a pact to protect the island by swearing to not reveal a single thing about what they discovered. The endless search for the island will cease once explorers get word that it is impossible to reach it. Crowley may have lost out on riches and fame, but he is much more content with the knowledge that the island and its inhabitants will forever remain safe. And with this knowledge, he is the richest man in the world.